Hypervisor has to interact between host operating system, hardware as well as guest servers. Coarse-grained granular service which are offered by the cloud. The service is measurable. How much service, what kind of service you are giving, it can be measured. Collection of services provided by the service provider. What are the requirements of the client? What they expect from a cloud vendor. Hello students, I am Dr. Soumyashri from Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram College. Welcome to the Cloud Computing and Big Data Analytics session. In the last session, we know about something about the security that can be carried out on public as well as private clouds. Is it not? And how do you implement certain security measures in private and the public clouds? Okay. In today's session, I'm going to explain you about the technologies that can be used in a cloud computing. How does or what are the different technologies the vendors or the providers are going to use in order to give a service to the clients. Let's have a look at that. Okay. The main thing that gives cloud computing strong demand across organization or clients is the concept of virtualization. In the previous sessions, I just told you about what is virtualization. Virtually creating everything you want, not the actual one. Virtual things or virtual copies will be created and are given to the clients. So this virtualization concept has made cloud computing more capable, more powerful and more useful to the clients. Then what is virtualization is? Can you see it? Virtualization is a concept. Virtual process is a layer actually. It will be a layer that interacts between the cloud instance and the physical hardware, okay, on which it is running or processing, on which it is executing. In that hardware, between hardware and the cloud instance of a software or instance of a platform or any instance of the software you are using, whether it may be application software or system software, okay. It is a layer, okay. This makes virtualization, the platform itself will be virtualized in case of the concept of virtualization, okay. For this, we use a concept known as hypervisor, which allows the multiple operating system, okay, which runs as a guest in the same server of the cloud, which creates the hypervisor creates the multiple operating system instance. Operating system present will be single, but it gives the virtual feel of dedicated operating system to each of the connected clients, okay. Hypervisor is like supervisor who supervises. Here hypervisor is who look on all the instances of the operating system or any software that is provided to the client. For this, we have a diagrammatic representation and two types of hypervisors, okay. In one of the type, each of the server connected will be considered, or client system connected will be considered as a guest, whereas hypervisor will be an intermediate layer which interacts between the, if you have a host OS in the like platform or application software, you will be having a host operating system. There will be a host operating system as well as the hardware below the or connected with the hypervisor, which connects these two or helps interaction of instance of these two with the clients or the guest. Okay. Example can be taken as virtual PC or virtual server. It acts as a virtualization, or virtual machine, VMware workstation. If you are accessing workstation service, you can have this, or a KVM machine. So you can have these examples. Another type of hypervisor is where it is the IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service. In IaaS, there will be no operating system. Directly hardware instances are created and are given to the clients, where hypervisor interacts between the hardware and the guest or the client server. Here, if you have PaaS and SaaS, you will be having a host operating system. Hypervisor has to interact between host operating system, hardware as well as guest servers. Whereas in another type where IaaS is involved, you don't have the operating system. The hypervisor will be interacting directly between hardware and the guest servers. Okay, the hypervisor is a intermediate layer. All right. Apart from that, the main principle or main thing that makes cloud computing more powerful or more demanding is its characteristic of cost, that is, which is not too much unaffordable, which is affordable. Agility, that means ability to change quickly or ability to adapt to changing environment. And time to market, marketing strategies or different marketing strategies that are implemented by the vendors. So these three characteristics or these three qualities will make the cloud computing more powerful than the local servers or the systems. Okay. We have a cloud orchestrator and provisioning engine. Again, it is a type of layer of software. Even though you are opting for IaaS, you need some layer to interact between the guest server and the hardware in the hypervisor. In hypervisor, you will be having a cloud orchestrator and provisioning engine. What is the job or work of this engine is to interact with multiple servers. It has to interact with multiple servers. If you have 1,000 servers, clients, guests connected with the cloud, the provisioning engine or the cloud orchestrator and provisioning engine must interact with multiple servers that are connected. Apart from that, it enables IT department in guest server to pool resources together across the server. If you are opting for a platform, PaaS or SaaS, you need to pool the resources. Somebody may need both the platform as well as application software. Somebody may need only the application software. Somebody may need both hardware, that is hardware as well as platform, or hardware or application software. There are so many functions that are needed by different types of clients that are connected to that local server. Suppose if we have a cloud computing provider here, which are connected by hypervisor by the clients of an organization. If you take a private cloud, you may have an organization XYZ where you have 3 servers that are connected to this cloud platform. Okay, hypervisor or to cloud platform we have a hypervisor which interacts between the guest. Guest server, we have 3 guest server. For these 3 guest servers, you can have any number of clients, C1, C2, C3, C4, or for the third, you can have C6, C7, C8, you can have any number of clients. There is no way that I need to have only this much, or there is no limit for number of clients that can connect to a guest server. Okay, what the IT department in the local server has to do is, the IT department must pool the resources according to the requirement of the connected clients. They have to pool the requirements or pool the resources. Again, this will be done by they'll send the request to the cloud provider or to the hypervisor. What it will do is, the engine will enable the IT department to pool these services. So it will give the access to the IT department to group these resources. Along with that, it defines the standardized tier of services. What kind of service can be provided to which level of management, or what type of service will be provided to the clients or to the guest servers, okay, which are called as virtual compute centers. It will create the tiers of services for different clients, which are called as the virtual compute centers. In hypervisor, we'll have this cloud orchestrator and provisioning engine which carry out all these functions. All right. Apart from that, what are the jobs that can be handled by these orchestrator and provisioning engine is, using this engine, the IT departments can share the cloud infrastructure or the cloud service, okay, with a multi-tenant manner. Like I have said in the previous slide, we can have multiple clients to a single local server, okay. So in this, it gives the provision of sharing the resources by the IT departments. Apart from that, using these engines, standard collection of virtual machines. The main concept in cloud computing is the virtualization itself. The collection of virtual machines can be made possible, and certain policies can be set to how much extent these services can be accessed. Okay, so this is where the cloud orchestrator and the provisioning engine plays a role. Apart from that, it removes the involvement in infrastructure enabling work. It will give access to only the virtual copies of the actual platform or the software. Apart from that, it removes too much involvement of IT departments of the client organization or any client. It will not allow the infrastructure enabling work by the client. So every provision will be restricted only to the client provider. Only certain access will be given to the guest servers or to the client servers. All right. Next is, how does the cloud service can be given? What are the different strategies that can be implemented in a cloud service? Okay. In this, the thing or the key steps in implementing a cloud. What do we need to implement a cloud? What are the things that you need to take care if you want to start a cloud service? If you want to become a cloud provider, cloud service provider or cloud service vendor, what are the key points that you need to remember? Okay, first one is, you have to understand the strategy of the cloud. Strategy may be anything, like what kind of service you are going to provide, what kind of clients you are going to process, how do you market your cloud, how does your cloud will be able to adapt to the new environment. So you'll have so many necessities or so many requirements of initiating a cloud service. In such a case, you have to first understand what is the expectations of the client from a cloud. So it has to be designed, which is called as the cloud strategy. Next, define cloud application requirements. You have to define what are the requirements of the clients, what they expect from a cloud vendor. Apart from that, assess the readiness of the cloud service. If you are starting a cloud service, whether market is ready to accept your cloud. So that readiness of the market must be assessed by the team. Apart from that, defining high level cloud architecture. How does your cloud must be? What is the security level in your cloud? What type of cloud you are implementing or service you are giving, like it may be private or public or hybrid, or you are providing IaaS, PaaS or SaaS. What kind of infrastructure or architecture you are going to implement in your cloud. Apart from that, identifying the change management. If there is any sudden change in the market, sudden change in the demand, how do you are going to manage it? How do you are going to cope with those dynamic changes or abrupt changes in the demand of the cloud market? You have to be able to identify the change in the market, management requirements, and you need to develop a roadmap. When you have listed out all these things, you need to have a roadmap. How do you develop this business of cloud service? You are starting from the scratch. After 1 year, how much service your cloud must be providing? What number of clients you need to have? What are the strategies you need to inculcate in your service? All these things must be there in the roadmap. And how do you implement these plans? If you have plans, standards, policies, how you are going to implement those? You need certain methods to implement those that can be planned in the strategy before actually starting to give a service. Okay. Next is the service-oriented architecture. That is, you are not going to concentrate on whether it is public or private or hybrid, whatever type it is. You are concentrating on only the service. How does you are going to give the service to the clients? Okay. How do you going to do it when you are starting with a cloud? Cloud design and implementation using the service-oriented architecture or SOA. In short, you can call it as SOA. Okay. Service-oriented architecture concentrates on only the service provided by the cloud vendor. It won't bother about whether you are using it as a public cloud or as a private cloud or the hybrid cloud. Okay. This is a service-oriented architecture is a powerful tool for implementing various applications in the cloud. Here everything is a service. As the name itself indicates, it is cloud service, cloud computing service or a cloud computing provider. You are going to give a service, and in turn for that service you are charging something for those services. Okay. What is this service oriented architecture is all about is, it is again a software. You need a software for anything to interact, is it not? It is a software design and software architecture design pattern. It is design as well as design pattern which depends on structured collection of the discrete modules. You have a software modules. You are taking the modules or the software from the third party vendors, and you need to design the service You are not designing any software. You have to just design the service. How you are going to provide the service to the clients, okay, which is called as the architecture. Architecture is something to build. What you are building is, you are building the service. How you are going to build up the service. That is where the SOA plays the importance, because we are not designing a hardware or a software or any kind of system software. What we are providing is, everything is there, everything is ready. How do you provide the service? Okay. The cloud-based application, when you are implementing a cloud service, there are tiny services that are offered on the cloud. Tiny services are nothing but softwares or high-level softwares, nothing like that. Tiny examples for tiny service provided is to store a photo or store a file or store an image or store a small video. You can store anything in the cloud. So these are not prominent services that you are going to provide. Instead, they are the coarse-grained granular services which are not so much important, but it adds to your business. It will help to grow your business, even though they are not the prominent services provided by you. Suppose if I am a client, I am an individual client, I can get the service of storing all the music or all the songs that I have collected. I'll store that in a cloud. It is not a prominent service you are providing, but it adds on to your business. Suppose if I want to add all the images, I am a professional photographer, I'm going to store all the images I have captured in my camera to the cloud. Then it is not a prominent service, but it is a coarse-grained granular service which are offered by the cloud. What you need, architect, or what you need to design is, are you going to provide these kind of tiny services to the clients, or are you going to concentrate only on the services to the broader spectrum, or like any organization like that? So you need to design a software that is a service-oriented architecture to decide on what type of service you are going to provide. All right. Now, we have a conceptual cloud model that can use different layers we have, where we have hardware, facilities and connectivity using the network. Okay, when it is network, you'll have the cables and wires. Okay, this will come under the general service, infrastructure as a service. Okay, facilities, any other facilities given, connectivity of network as well as hardware. In the next level, we will be having platform as a service. In that, integration of the modules. If you are providing one platform, in that platform, client has developed several modules. How you are going to integrate that? Apart from that, it acts as a middleware. Your platform or your system software acts as a middleware between the application software and the hardware. So that will be middleware and APIs. You are getting the APIs which comes under the service, platform as a service. Last layer comes is the software as a service. In this, we will be having different application softwares, datas as well as presentation of those services and data to the client. Okay. The cloud model describes the structure of cloud-based services. What are the different services that can be provided by a cloud? In terms of its software components, maybe in software components with their responsibilities, what are the different responsibilities the client, the service provider has to handle? What are the different interfaces the provider can give? Relationship between the IaaS, PaaS and SaaS, how they can interact with each other. and the way they collaborate to deliver the required functionality. Having these services is important, of course, but interacting with these kinds of services is as important as providing the service. That is, relationship or providing better service by interacting with all the three kinds of service is what the model is handling. No, none of the service is independent. They are integrated with each other. Okay, you can give only SaaS, or you can give only PaaS or only IaaS, but they will be having certain softwares, certain platforms, certain infrastructure or hardware that are provided by any service provider. Okay. In this, we'll be having the different offers given by the model. One is high-level service components, which forms the services provided by the offerings. What are the services that you are going to get as a client? Then the resources that support these services. If I am saying that I'll provide a platform or I'll provide a system software for your work, I need to have the supporting resources. So that must be the responsibility of cloud provider only. And the technical components that provide the technical underpinnings or technical points or technical support of the cloud service. If you are providing a SaaS, you need to have supporting softwares as well. Okay. Apart from that, external and internal services. Some will be external, supporting files will be termed as internal services, which will not be visible to you, but are going to provide support to your software or support to your platform. Okay, that are given by the cloud providers. We'll be having the supporting files given with the cloud service. They are not separately charged. They come under the entire package. If you are given the package, say that if you are purchasing a mobile, they won't say that we'll provide, along with that, we'll provide a charger, they will provide a headphone. They'll not say that. When they'll say that, when you are giving special offers, you'll get a headphone with the mobile, or you'll get some Bluetooth speaker with the mobile. If you have extra offerings, then that only will be announced, isn't it? Otherwise, if you purchase a single mobile, there will be some components that come along with the mobile, like a charger or maybe a headset. They'll come along with the mobile even though you are not going to mention it. You know that. They'll give the charger and the headphone, or they may not give the headphone, only the charger may be provided, okay, with the mobile. So something internal services, supporting services that comes along with the external service, with the main services they are providing, which will be offered by the client providers or the service providers. What you need to know if you are a service provider is, you need to decide what kind of service or what kind of internal and external services you are going to provide to the client. You need to think as a service provider, you need to provide these different kinds of services. All right. Here we have the governance. These are the exposed services which are visible to the client, like APIs, manageable console. Even the console will be given different kinds of design softwares, meters, different meters, or a billing software. You can have these exposed services. Then you can have core services which are supporting to these, like the encrypting services, VPN, SFTP, creating a network, or any other supporting one. They are called as the core services. Next comes is the infrastructure services. This is what you call as PaaS. These are SaaS and this is IaaS. Okay. So we have infrastructure services providing the hardwares. Then Amazon Web Services. We have an example as IaaS. Then supporting files. Okay. You can have all the three build-ups, or you can have only these two, or only these two, or only these two. You can decide, if you are a service provider, what kind of service you are going to provide. Whether it is only exposed services, or core services, or infrastructure services. Alright. Along with that, it needs to have the following elements like the conceptual structure of the cloud application. How you are going to structure the cloud. Along with that, dynamic interactions and dependencies between the different components, connected components in the cloud. Like the server. If you are going to provide only the SaaS, then also you need to have a server, is it not? To store all the softwares. And you have to create the virtual image of all those things. For that, you need some kind of softwares for creating a virtual image of all the softwares. So you are depending on various conceptual components, isn't it? So those must be the elements that are required. Then components that comprise the cloud services which are provided by the application. If you are providing a software, suppose if you are providing a Tally, or suppose if you are providing a Microsoft Office or Office service, what are the services that our Office software is going to provide? Simple Office software, what they are going to provide? Are they going to provide editing software or editing application like Word, or it is going to give some application like Excel to perform certain calculations, or applications which help in presenting something like PowerPoint? What are the components will be provided by that kind of application? Will be the elements that are included in the cloud service. Okay. What are the next thing is to know about the cloud application security, how you are going to secure your cloud, along with the privacy principles. What are the principles of the privacy that are provided by the cloud service? Okay. So this covers the high level guidance to cover the security and privacy characteristics. That means you need to have high level guidance to protect your data. Whereas in addition to the elements that are listed in the previous slide, there are certain areas which are need to take care when you move from local to the cloud. One is the governance, how you are going to govern or administer the service. Authentication and access control, how you are going to access the or authenticating or accessing the services. How do you protect the data? And the last thing is logging and alerting. Who are going to log into that service? And if there is any intruder going to enter into your cloud, how you are going to alert the service provider. Okay. These are the privacy principles that are needed to protect your data. As I said, security is the most concerned issue in a cloud service. We need to have the governance, proper governance, like for decisions on agreements. If there is an agreement between the client and the service provider, the decisions, what are the policies and the standards that will be set by the cloud provider, and how does the client is going to secure their data as well as others' data. So that will be discussed under the governance. Next is authentication and access control. Okay, this authentication provides additional support to the existing methods. That means there are some authentication available with the local, but you need to implement extra security measures, additional security methods to suit the cloud environment. The security model method that we have implemented in local may not be suitable for the cloud environment. Now we have to take additional methods, security methods to secure your data. Next is data protection. You need to provide the data protection. You have to change the method of protection like disclosure or modification. When you are providing data over a network, either you have to close or hide the data or you have to modify the data. How do you protect that? Disclosure or modification. From actual storage to the virtual storage. When you are going to store the data in the cloud, how you are going to protect your data? That is the main concern in a cloud. So that must be having again additional methods along with the existing one. Then next comes is the logging and the alerting. Logging, ability to tie actions to an individual. If I am logging into the system, how much accessibility I must have? That will be the thing that are going to take in a privacy principle. Then alerting, if there is someone else who are accessing your data or not authorized or unauthorized or intruders, or you may say attackers simply. Okay, if they are trying to access your data, you need to have certain methods to alert the service providers or IT department that the data are in danger. There is a necessity of extra methods that must be implemented to protect the data. Okay, so this is about the protection and other principles that must be taken care in case of cloud services. All right. Okay, next concept that we are going to know about is about the cloud services, the terminologies, different terminologies that are connected with the cloud services. Okay. This section highlights different aspects of the service. How do you going to get the service? The scope of the service and cloud-based platforms for the client. Okay. Here we have different cloud services that are provided. In this, first thing that to know is the service. What is a service? What you are going to serve? If you are a service provider, what you are going to serve? I am a client, you are a service provider. What are the things that you are going to give to me as a client or as a service provider? I am a client, I expect services. What kind of service you are going to give me? Okay, so it is a specific IT deliverable. What do you mean by the term deliverable is the product or the service that can be delivered to a client. If your software or the service is eligible to give service to a client or deliver a service to a client, it is called as the deliverable. Deliverable product, or in short, deliverable. Whenever you get into the term deliverable or deliverables, what you mean is the product which is ready to give it to the service of the client, which is ready for service. Okay. Suppose if you have a car will be a commodity or a service given by the car showroom, isn't it? They are going to provide you the service. Service is not that service, cleaning or something. Delivering a car is a service. Okay. When it can be termed as a deliverable? At first, when you get into the catalog, color, model, all these things, what is the mileage, all those will be requirements that you are going to collect. And you put the order to the car, you request the showroom that I need this kind of model and this color, and I need everything will not be fitted into the car when you give the order. When it is in the showroom, it will not be ready to deliver as it is. You cannot get the car as it is, because there will be certain fittings that are added extra while it is delivered to you. If it is a simple car, there will be no stereos, or there will be no extras covers, or there may be a Bluetooth device that you need to connect, or there is a windshield that needs to be given to the windows, or something like camera that must be fitted into the car. You'll give all the extra accessories that are needed to implement or inbuilt, give it in the car. When all these have been given and is fitted in the car, like stereo or seat covers or mats or back cameras, all has been given and is ready to give to you. At that particular moment, it is called as a deliverable. You can have a deliverable product which is ready to deliver. Why? In the same way, IT deliverable is a product which is ready to provide it to the client, okay, that provides customer value. It gives the service to the customer. The service is measurable. How much service, what kind of service you are giving, it can be measured. A service provides a basis for doing business with the customer. In case of cloud service, service itself is the product that you are giving to client. You are not giving anything, a book or a pen. You are not going to give this pen or pointer, anything. You are not going to give it by actual thing, but service itself is the product that you are going to give to a client, and which is the basis for your business. Service itself is the basis for your business. And this service is delivered through a series of processes. It is not at a stretch you'll get the service. You need to have the agreements, you need to pay something to get that service. There will be certain methods, steps that will be followed before actually getting a cloud service. Okay, before getting the service, you need to have certain processes or activities that are needed to get a service. Okay, next comes is the services portfolio. Services portfolio, what it will give is collection of services provided by the service provider. What kind of service you are going to get? If I say I am going to get a SaaS, what are all the softwares that you are going to get? What are the different softwares that I can get? And what is the aggregation? Represents value addition activities performed by IT. If I generally say I am a client, I am going to get a software service from you, what are the collection of services? It is not just one software I am going to get, it is the collection of service I am going to get. What are the collection of service that I am going to get will be the portfolio or list of services I am going to get when I subscribe to your cloud. So that is about services portfolio. Next is the service component. What does the service component gives is, it is a logically grouped set of activities that represent part of a service that comes along with the main one. That is internal service or supporting service that comes along with the main service, which is not mentioned exclusively, but are there and are provided by the cloud itself. Okay, these are the some of the service components that comes along with a single service, like gap analysis. What is the difference between different clouds? Strategy, solution and development, application, remediation, troubleshooting an application, training for that cloud service, consulting services, consulting about certain problems, complaints audit, whether you are able to complain between the client and the service, complaints verification and validation, verifying as well as validating the service provided by the vendor, data extraction, extracting some data, conversion and reporting, converting to a form that is readable by the client and giving back the reportings, then process reviewing the service provided, product tool implementation and integration. It is only one module is okay. Can have multiple modules in a single platform. How do you going to implement? Integration is implementing as well as integrating. If you are having a system software or any platform like Visual Studio or PHP, there will be different modules that are implemented in that. Along with providing a platform, when you develop module in that platform, it is the responsibility or it is the service component provided along with the main service that implementing that module is the responsibility of the cloud provider. Along with integration, it has to integrate the several modules that are designed in that platform. Along with that, transition management, if you are going to transit from one cloud to another cloud, they need to manage the data without losing anything or changing any form. Okay, these are the service components. Still, there are certain points that are need to be taken care, that will be in the next session, where cloud services provided by the providers or vendors will be discussed. Thank you.